this will tell you if we're too far away or if we're like too close. That's all.
Coming in hard.
3, 2, 1. Nathan Carlos, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for doing this, man.
Thank you.
You were saying the Jackal. They give you nicknames in sport.
You do. So when you work in sport, they give you nicknames. If you don't like it, it sticks. They make sure it sticks. So my last name, Carlos. So someone came up with Carlos the Jackal. So if you Googled Carlos the Jackal, you'd realise he was a very bad man. Remained at large till about 65. They caught up with him, and now he's, I think, still in a French prison serving 25 life sentences. So that's not me.
Good physio, just torturing people, hurting them.
Maybe a little bit of torture, yeah. You can ask my clients that. They'll probably tell you yes.
Yeah. Man,
with love.
Yeah, I'm energised and excited about today's podcast because you're a physio. I'm an exercise physiologist in my professional field. But in the past, early on in my career, I found that there was this big divide between, physios are better or EPs are better, or in the community, for some reason, there was a bit of a wall and a bit of a barrier with, when we're trying to help our patients with exercise, there was this, no, don't do that, do this, don't do that, physio's wrong, EP's wrong, whatever. But we've been able to work together quite well over the last however long we've been working together. And you've helped me out a lot with my injury, so really looking forward to the chats, man.
Thank you. Let's go.
Let's go. Where should we start?
5 questions.
How's 2020 treating you, man? How's COVID?
COVID. All right. At least as a physio, you could stay open, which was somewhat helpful. Everyone was quite spooked there for a while. No one wanted to come in. It was a bit of a ghost town. Myself and my staff, we kind of scaled back to about part-time through that period. I've got a couple of kids, so got to spend more time with them, which was actually really lovely. But also, too, I noticed that he's like, Dad, is that because of coronavirus? Is that because of coronavirus? And I was quite mindful to not let it seep into him to become like it's a doomsday type scenario and situation. So we kind of tried to keep things quite normal. So we went to lots of parks and played soccer and did lots of things like that to keep everything relatively normal. And then obviously as things improved, it was kind of easy to slide back into, then the school goes back and back into normal schools, those things.
Nice, man. How old is he?
I got a 7-year-old son, 2-year-old daughter, and a 8-week-old daughter.
Okay.
Chloe.
Nice, man.
Yeah, so bloodshot eyes. But she's lovely, and she's growing, which is lovely. It's good. Sorry, I lost my point, but... COVID. Obviously, we set up recovery science in the last couple of years, so like an athlete recovery and kind of wellness centre. So we've got the ice bars, saunas, Normatec boots, which complements physio well, complements exercise, and people who like to train hard well. So that was going really well, and then COVID hit, and then it was like shut down. Kind of took the wind out of our sails a fair bit there. We kind of simplified things a little bit and worked on a few other little bits and pieces, and since we've been open, it's been going well again. Just the disruption to sport, community sport, was quite hurtful to physios who tend to do more sports type people. It may have affected you as well, but obviously with the recovery side of things, the season was truncated, so there was kind of less opportunity there. So
yeah, real weird season. It was like, I know football for me was at a halt in the beginning. We're like, we don't know when we're going back, and then it's like, shit, we're going back June, and then we had a week to train, and then competition was back on pretty quickly after that. But
I mean, we saw COVID injuries.
Really?
Physio, yeah.
What'd you see?
COVID I'm going to blame the kettlebell. People go and get kettlebells and they're doing
like
500 million kettlebell swings, and then they're like, oh.
Okay, I haven't heard about it, man. That's
nice. So we had a few kettlebell injuries, walking injuries, a lot of walking knees. So people went from doing perhaps, HIIT sessions and whatever, and they go for now a 3-hour walk, and it's just a different stress on the body, and something got a bit cranky in the knee. So we saw a few of those. Just like whenever you change your training or life to some degree, you're kind of at risk of something kind of going awry. So
that's interesting that you say the kettlebell, man. I had some of our community members during COVID when we shut the gym side of our business. They found YouTube guys out there that had kettlebell workout videos that was all about reps. Like there was some dude that one of our members was showing me. He was priding himself on like literally thousands of reps. Like he puts the camera on and it's just going. And he was following. He was like, man, I just thought it was a good challenge. So I could see how that would happen.
David Goggins style.
Yeah, it wasn't David Goggins, but it was very much David Goggins style. Like the dude just turns on his vlog camera and just goes ham for 2 hours of like the same exercise. Like how many reps of the one thing can you do?
Yeah, and I suppose that's okay if you've been doing that for a while. You know, if you've done the work behind that to kind of strengthen your body to be able to do it, then that's okay. But you know, when you get a kettlebell, take it home, and then you see this guy, and you're like, right, I'm going to do 10,000 reps of that now.
Yeah. What were you seeing in the clinic? RSI or tendons or ligaments or?
Kettlebells mainly with the low back stuff. Obviously, if you kind of got a technique error there and you do lots of reps, it's going to highlight inadequacies. And then probably knees. Yeah, a little bit of tendon stuff actually, because you know maybe people were running more, so instead of doing gym, they go and run 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week, and then their Achilles blows up, or patella tendons too if you're doing more jumping.
Yep.
Just because it's a change and you do too much of it than what your body's used to, and then injury.
Yep.
Overload.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the basis of working out injuries for me with anyone. It doesn't matter if they're a high-level athlete, person who just wants to walk down the beach with not a sore knee. You just got to kind of tailor it to what they are and what they have been doing. And like if you're gonna run a marathon, I'd say probably start that here and plan to do a marathon there. Don't do it in a month. You know what I mean? Because you try and step up the training too quickly and you fall apart. Yeah. So we try to educate people as best we can to stop that happening. Like injuries always occur from when you've done too much, but it's always preceded by not doing enough. You know what I mean? So it's the not doing enough part really that's the problem. So usually getting people to do more for more consistent periods of time, that's their natural protection.
Yeah, that volume control, huh? Yeah,
load. I mean, you've probably heard the acute chronic workload ratio, so they try to quantify it a little bit. Dr. Gabbett has written a fair few articles. I've actually worked with him a little bit in QAS in early days. That poor fella, I feel very sorry for him. He's very clever. He genuinely loves what he does. And this is before GPS, right? So as you know, guys put GPS on the unit, run around the field and quantify their loads. This poor gentleman was videoing the game and working out how on just like visualizing how far that person run from there to there, estimating it based off markers around the field. And that was a 30-meter effort at 70% intensity. We know that their running speed at maximum is 9 meters a second. So at 70%, it's 6.5. So he would then plug that into a spreadsheet and quantify the loads of players. To say that it was time intensive was an understatement. I'd be doing physio as you are when you're away with a team, and I'd look into this room in the dark corner, and it'd be this glow of the light on his face as he's sitting there like Quasimodo over a computer just inputting this data. And you have to do that for probably most of the playing groups, so soccer, 11 people on the field, and measuring every run, every jog, sprint effort. And then obviously with as technology got better.
Imagine his life when those GPS trackers came out.
Greatest ever. Yeah, so it's just funny. I didn't even really think about that story until I kind of look back at that then. And now you've got Whoops and all these types of things for self-monitoring, quantification.
I'm actually looking into them right now. I want to invest in one. Have you messed around with it?
I have a link that I'm going to to get one through a friend, and you get a month free.
Okay,
so I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. One of our members is rocking one, and he shows me the stats, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, so you can get like physical measures, sleep quality, sleep efficiency. I think it does heart rate variability too, which is a measure of your sympathetic and parasympathetic tones, which is a sign of your recovery state. I think it's awesome. So just recovery science, we've had the YPO group through, so with Young Presidents Organisation, and there's lots of CEOs of big companies. Okay. And many of them were and use it as kind of biofeedback for them on how they're going.
Yeah.
Their performance is a bit different. It's in the business versus maybe physical, and some of them train pretty hard too, to be honest. But it's going to be everywhere soon. I think businesses will just have their employees on them as well, because they're like, well, how are you going? Like, geez, had a bad night's sleep. Probably don't want to be doing super amounts of hard work today because you've just had a bad night with the kids. Maybe you should do that job. It's a bit more gentle. Get this guy and to do that job, because getting injuries at work is very costly for businesses.
Yeah, man. So. Have you researched Aura much at all? Because apparently the Whoop stacks up a lot better than Aura. And
I haven't dug too much into the Aura. Some of my friends are on the Whoop, so I think I'll go down that road.
Me too.
I nearly did it last week, and probably should pull my finger out now.
Yeah.
Just on that, like, I've always felt like I'm a feeler, right? So that's just kind of my learning type, if you will. I'm a physio. I tend to feel and touch. Is kind of probably why I gravitated towards that type of job. And I was just doing some reading on that, and feelers tend to wear comfortable clothes, you know what I mean? So I've got stretchy clothes. In your personal time, you're wearing comfortable things. You're not really kind of wearing shoes and stuff. And I kind of like, oh, that's so me. Like, I feel like I've got a good feeling of how I'm going from a recovery point of view, if that makes sense. So,
do you pull the trigger and say, sorry to cut you off, say you feel lower on energy, are you good at going, nah, I won't train today, or I won't expose myself to as much load today? Or do you still sort of...
Correct. I would say, it's always good to put money in the bank, isn't it? So if you don't have much money this week, you put a little bit in the bank. It's better than nothing in the bank. So I would do something, but I would then down-regulate my session to do that. Especially as you get a bit older, and I've accumulated my fair share of injuries along the way, you get smarter. You get a lot smarter with how you manage your own body. And we try to teach that to as many people as we can, just through physio. Because here it is. At the age of 25 is the absolute physical peak of your powers. In my experience. So
25
is the top, the peak. You might as well get up there and smell the air, because from there you're on a road downhill.
Watch our media crew faces start to change. The jaw drops. 25 you reckon?
Yeah just from what I've seen over my life / working life, 25 is when you've probably had enough pre-seasons under your belt to have a relatively resilient body. Hormonally, you're probably at the peak of your powers, testosterone levels, all these types of things. Life responsibility, pretty low. Stress is kind of relatively low. So it kind of like it's all playing into your hands then. And I reckon that correlates when players are starting to sign their big contracts around those ages. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, they're delivering on the field. They're really coming in those prime kind of income producing years. Because you try and sign a big long-term contract when you're 32, you know what I mean? They're kind of like, well, no, you're going to get less money now. So, that kind of ties in with that. How well you look after yourself is how quickly you slide down. If you look after yourself well, it'll be slow and it'll be a little bit each year. If you don't, you're falling off a cliff. There's a little cliff at 40, let me tell you, because I passed that one a while ago, and it was a noticeable, slower recovery. Like just everything's a little bit sore. It takes a lot longer to warm up, a lot longer to get over sessions. I can't run consecutive days. My Achilles says don't do that. But I can do it. If I manage myself well and spread it out, I'm fine. If I be an idiot, then I'm not fine.
Back to back.
So I was just like, cool, that's my body. Maybe I gym that day, run that day, bike or gym, and then back to running.
How often do you run? And what do you train? No, not much now.
Don't run.
What's your training at the moment?
Let's go through my injury profile, if we will.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah. So I played soccer back in the day.
You've had an ACL as well.
I have done my ACL 2005. Both me and my wife did our ACLs. Had reconstructions 10 days apart.
Oh wow!
We'll tell that story afterwards. So I got plates and screws in my right ankle. I fractured my fib, kind of spun my foot around.
Soccer? Football?
Soccer, just tackle, like the side foot tackle, and just caught the foot a bit long on the end and spun it around and kind of faced that way for a bit, but came back, thank God. And then I had to walk off the field, thanks physio who didn't carry me.
Yeah.
And this, I was working at this point, so I was kneeling on a stool and wheeling myself around like a peg leg, because if you don't work, you don't get any money as a physio.
Yeah.
And then I was like silly, because I was 20 something. I'm like, like a knee couldn't be as bad as an ankle, you know what I mean? 3 years later, knee gone, ACL popped, and then
Also on the field?
Yep. I'd had a high-grade MCL injury about 4 months before that. Like it was a big one. So I braced it for 9 weeks or so, rehabbed it, came back, played for a month, and then was trying to kick the ball, kick the player as I was changing direction, and on my stance leg, whooshka, it felt horrible. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, I can't put my knee in a comfortable position. This feels so bad. And then got taken off in the change room, and then the physios grabbed the leg and grabbed my tibia, and it felt like it just was there and came back. And she's like, I think you're going to be okay. I'm like, no, I'm not. I could tell, you just feel it, You're like, maybe she was being nice to save my feelings, but... so, and funnily enough, my wife did hers playing AFL.
Okay.
So we rehabbed together. It was an interesting experience.
I've never heard of that, man. That you and your wife both ACL same time, 10 days
It was
apart.
a miserable household for quite a while.
It'd be a fun 12 months.
So I said, look, baby, I'll go first. I'll throw myself on this grenade. And got the reconstruction. Because I had a few surgeries before then. I've also had a sportsman's hernia, so I got the mesh sewn into my abdominal wall as well. Yeah. These are from soccer. And then, where was I?
You threw yourself on the landmine.
Yeah,
I'm going in first.
I got the
I'll start my rehab first.
I'll go first. Got in, kind of got out of the brace, so I could kind of get around. Yeah. Just because the simple things of getting a glass of water and taking it to the couch becomes very hard when you're on crutches. Yeah. And she had a meniscus repair, so she was going to be in crutches for a month and non-weight bearing for a month. Yeah. So hers was a lot longer. So I said, I'll go first. I can look after you a bit better because I'll be off crutches sooner. And kind of got through those early periods. I'm like, all right, babe, let's go to the gym, go do some rehab. And she's like, no, I just want to run. I'm like, you can't run until you get some muscle on your leg. And we were not long together, so maybe the trust was not as strong as it is now. But she didn't listen to me, so she's like, you go off, do your thing. So I'd sit there, do the boring little exercises, she calls it. And then if we fast forward, like even after 5 years, she'd had 3 knee operations, and I've had 1.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
really?
So put in the work, you get a good result.
Yep.
Don't put in the work, you get a crappy result. And then, like, even this happened, I think, like last year. She's like, my knee feels really sore again. I'm like, when was the last time you did some exercise and some rehab on it? She's like, oh, yeah, cool. She goes and does it, comes back. I feels better. I'm like, don't know why we keep having this conversation. But
crazy how it works.
Yeah, she's like a long distance runner now. She gave up AFL as a result.
Yeah. What surgeries did she need to have post-op?
So it was meniscus.
Meniscal repairs.
Yeah, okay. So she had a repair when she had the ACL, which it makes it a significant one because you're restricted for range of motion for that first month to 90 degrees for 6 weeks. So people tend to get a stiff knee afterwards. She got the range back, which was good because we actually did a bit of stuff on the range, which was good. But since then, like it's been meniscus. She compromised it, just kind of kept fraying it and tearing it. I was getting out of a taxi once in high heels after a few beverages, and obviously just twisted awkwardly and bang. So we had to cancel our honeymoon because we were going to go to New Zealand, get a van and tour around South Island and go do the Milford Sound walks and things like that. But she'd have surgery, so we had to cancel it.
What was your surgery after?
I haven't had one since.
Did you say you had one?
Just ACL. So
right. So no revision.
No,
since.
no clean out.
Sorry,
since.
I thought you meant you had one since.
No. So
wow.
mine's been okay. I must
Good job,
admit
man.
that I'm noticing that it's not feeling quite as nice as it used to, and that's 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, and I did go back and play some soccer. I played some soccer at a similar level, and then I kind of just started to bump down.
Yeah.
Then I was kind of getting a bit older then, so I play over 35s, and it wasn't as intense. And then you get family, it kind of gets in the way, and I kind of fell off the perch.
Yeah.
Did the long distance running thing with my wife because that's how we would spend time for a while, and that was probably even better for me, getting more injuries, like tibial stressors, plantar fasciitis, tore my Achilles, just because it's a very different dynamic running on the surfaces for hard surfaces for long periods of time, or running on a soccer field, short, sharp.
Yeah.
My body just wasn't really used to it, and I tried to pick it up too quickly. Tore my calf a couple of times, like an old man calf as well, to throw in with the mix. So I wasn't really having fun doing that. Plus, being like a team sport person, you enjoy the camaraderie and the competitiveness of competing against somebody else.
Yeah.
I struggled with just like, cool, I beat my time by 30 seconds. Like, I didn't get much out of that. And then I went to boxing. I found boxing. And thoroughly enjoyed it. But I wasted 10 years being a wuss bag of. I really hate being really bad at something, so I was going to start boxing. I was going to be very bad, so I put that off for 10 years. And I actually did it. I started at 39 and just loved it. And I was like so upset at myself I didn't start it earlier ago. But
you went in the ring. I remember you telling me.
Fight.
Yeah.
I'm 1-0.
Oh, he undefeated. Who'd you fight?
My friend Jeff, Jeff Fraser. Anyway, he had a shape-up conditioning.
Oh, I know Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, yeah.
He and I worked together a bit.
He did some work at HealthWorks as well. He set up a gym and a boxing ring in there, and he knows my brother-in-law very well, so I got to know him first, and that's so I'm like, oh yeah, cool, can you teach me how to box? So he came to my house, and I was bouncing tennis balls, like learning feet and hands. I'm like, man, I just want to punch. He's like, no, not yet, like, just like a karate kid, paint the fence, come on.
Yeah.
But it was really good, and he taught me properly, like footwork and defense and everything, and I really enjoyed that part of it because I'm getting better at something. And then he had a fight night called the Beef of Tenerife.
I remember you telling me that, man. That's a sick title.
And I was working at the Raw for a little bit, and so 10 of them rock up, and I'm like, oh my God, like, if I eat canvas here, like, it's going to be so embarrassing going to work the next day. And I was sitting there beforehand. I forgot my shoes. I forgot my pants because I was so nervous. Yeah. And I was like whiter than that wall. Yeah. And my friends are like, bro, are you okay? Like, you don't look good. I'm like really nervous. But it's probably it was one of the most liberating and best things I've ever done. I would recommend it for anyone. Just what you find out about yourself during that whole thing when you really have a crack at something and it's well outside your comfort zone was amazing. Like, it just was awesome. Because, like I had the little demon sitting there going,
bitch out.
You're 39, bro. Just
take it easy,
Give it up. No one cares. Like, you're finished. Like, just go and get a beer. Like, go and do something. I'm like, no, come on, I got to do this. So I was literally shadow boxing outside my house at 3 a.m. Just like, and it was good. Yeah. And like during the fight, it was one of those bizarre times. Like, people talk about flow state. I reckon that's where I've experienced flow state the most. It's where time feels like it speeds up and slows down at the same time. It was bizarre.
During the fight itself?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So a 2-minute round feels like eternity. But then again, you feel like you see everything, and like everything kind of feels slow. Like, it's like bizarre. So you see a punch coming, you're like, oh, like I saw that coming. But then if you don't move, you cop the next one. But it was bizarre. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. But then it kind of went slow, but also felt quick, if it makes sense. I sat there at the end of the round, and you're like, because you're so nervous and you just waste all this extra energy.
Yeah.
And, you know, he'd say, like, just get on the jab, just jab out, keep your space, keep moving, shuffle left, you know what I mean? And then you go, what did I just say? I got no idea. I can't even listen. But yeah, it was good.
Jeff was your coach on the day?
Jeff was a coach, yeah. So he essentially had a team of fighters that he coached, and he has he's got some really good fighters now. What I'm disqualified for, supposed to be for Tokyo Games. Like, he beat number 1 and 3 in the world.
Wow.
Polo, very good. So he's training with Jeff now, but back then he had some really, really good fighters too, and then they kind of match up with another gym, and you try best to match the quality.
Yeah.
And I fought a guy who had 5 fights.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always say I've had 1 fight, but he did 5.
Yeah.
So this guy comes out and he's like,
oh, wow.
doing this. I'm like, oh, jeez. I'm like, don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was good. I'm a southpaw, so I'm a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Everyone who sparred me said you're awkward to fight.
Yeah.
Because there's not many southpaws, so it's just like things are on a different angle. So thank God, otherwise could have been toast.
Respect, man. You fought a guy that had 5 fights. Big
He was
big
fit
ass.
too. Like he was a muscular guy, like just lean. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I come out there with my headgear on and like my frumpy pants.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good.
Are you going to do any martial arts again, or are you doing any at the moment? Have you messed with BJJ at all?
That was the other one I had on my list of things to do. You know, kind of, I'm just giving excuses now, to be honest, but my hip mobility would need a lot of work before I'd be anywhere good enough for that. And then when they start cranking necks and shoulders becomes a bit of a problem for me, because I need them to work, you know what I mean? Like, I need my hands to work. Because I've already had 2 operations on this shoulder from being a physio. Yeah. This one's starting to feel like it needs the same, so I kind of need to preserve them a little bit. But I'd like to do another. I was signed up to do another fight before COVID, so we were doing a fight camp. Yeah, at Jeff's.
Oh, so you're still actively training this year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea, man. I thought that was.
He had another fight coming
Wow.
up, and then obviously COVID stopped that. And then I think his business struggled a little bit, as you can imagine, and he's moved his gym to Sherwood now, so it's a bit, bit more restrictive. Yeah, so you're not there no more.
Yeah. I know where he was. When we were looking for a spot for ZAR, I was checking out that side of Gasworks, and he was in a good spot.
That shed's probably available.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah.
Because our Jim Cartel was there before.
Yeah, they're across the road now?
They're 1 block over.
Yeah.
I think he was more there in Austin.
Yeah, there's a couple of little gyms there. There's some other dude that long distance guy. I forget his name. Then there's Jim Cartel.
Project 180 is in that street as well. Is that the long distance guy?
Oh yeah, he's like endurance guy, isn't he? Like
is that Glenn? Glenn?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does the Kokoda challenges and that type of thing.
Yeah. And there's a CrossFit guys. Jeff was there.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah. I mean,
there's another one that's popped up just before. They also do boxing. Knuckle.
Oh yeah, Knuckle. That's Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. I like Mark. He is a beast.
Yeah.
He's 55,
Wow.
and he's very good. Got a very good gym, good following. I think he was gonna go for the Masters.
Oh wow.
Again, I think COVID kind of got in the way.
Yeah. There's a nice gym community, gym world happening here. Gyms on every corner.
I was kind of saying that, like, in my lifetime, from probably found the gym kind of high school, kind of into uni, was playing soccer relatively competitively, and like when I was a kid, like, it was not as nice as this facility. Besser brick, roller door. The guy would grunt at you on the way in the gym, mate. He'd be like, huh? like, you're going to use my gym? I'm like, yeah, well, that's how you make money. And, you know, we go in there and everything would be old and banged up. Yeah. And then kind of, you know, not long after this Fitness First thing came out, we're kind of looking at this shiny, glossy gym with all this cardio equipment, and we're like, why don't you just go outside for a run or play sport? You know what I mean? It was like the first kind of commercial gym, I suppose, and then from there, more of them started popping up, I suppose. And, you know, from then, the fashions have just come. F45,
the trends and the waves,
CrossFit, and then all these things. And then I'm kind of like it's good. Like, it's great because it means more people are doing it, more people are conscious of it. Obviously, there's markets there for all of them.
Yeah.
So that's, like, at the end of the day, the best thing you've got in your life is, like, exercise good, move, sleep good, don't get too stressed, eat pretty good, you know, like, it's pretty basic. Like, you need to get those big rocks in the right spot.
Yeah.
And you go pretty good.
A lot of people out there think that there's some secret or some tip or trick or golden nugget that they can do. It's all the fundamentals.
I just say that, like, I went through that whole road, obviously, working in sport. Like we've done calf blood injections, day 135 of muscle injuries.
Yeah.
We've done out there stuff. I'm probably not going to mention some things.
Tell us.
No, it's a bit... Okay, so obviously I'll keep names very quiet. You don't do stuff that's illegal. Like, that's just silly.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we did the active vegan injections, which is the calf blood, obviously. So it's kind of like essentially the growth factors of a young animal and trying to grab those growth factors and delivering it to healing tissue to speed up that process. With mixed results.
How long ago was that? I haven't even heard of that.
I haven't heard about that.
No.
Yeah, there's a guy, Wolfgang Wolfhart in Germany. He was kind of one of the guys doing it. So we used to send guys overseas to potentially...
Off to Germany you go?
Yeah. There's a gentleman who does do it down in the hinterland Gold Coast that I work closely with, have done. Actually I took Quaid and Digby, a couple of the old Reds boys down there just recently for a bit of... like myofascial needling would probably be the best word to say it. And he does use the Activag and Tramiel he uses, which is a natural anti-inflammatory. Yeah. Sorry, digressed a little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah, we've tried stem cells.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going back with 2013, 14.
For your athletes or?
Yeah, so we had a gentleman, Wallaby player, having a tough time of it with a particular injury. Needed something. Like it was kind of careers looking pretty bleak. Otherwise, let's throw everything in the kitchen sink at it. So we tried some stem cells.
Any good?
Yeah, no effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So my dad's got Parkinson's, and he flew to the Dominican Republic to get stem cells even earlier than that, because obviously stem cells were coming out in the research as being something probably potentially pretty good. We had some short-term benefits, but nothing kind of too long-term. Like, unfortunately, not too many magic panaceas for Parkinson's. But and I've heard it on Joe Rogan podcast. Mel Gibson's gone on there about his dad.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've heard that one.
Yes, I have. Mel Gibson's dad. He was saying he had some all right success rates.
Yeah, and I think from what it sounded like with that particular example was you give such a big bolus of stem cells. It's the growth factors that those stem cells kind of spill off that the person gets, which you just don't get as an aging person. As a younger person, 25, you've got a lot of them just naturally in your system. Whereas,
so your dad, sorry to cut you off, your dad went before Mel Gibson's dad and before all of that stuff?
Oh yeah, this would be.
Oh wow.
This would be, like 2011, 12.
Wow,
probably.
bro. Yeah.
Because you can't do it in other places. Like, he was obviously looking for a bit of a Hail Mary.
Yeah, well, it's American doctors that do it in the Dominican Republic, right?
Yeah, so they can't do it there, so they down. But yeah, so look, I think that technology will just get better. I got a friend who's in biotech, and we kind of for many years as we get their families together and have barbecues and whatever. Like, how do you make healing better, or reduce inflammation but make healing better to make it quicker so you can get athletes back on the field sooner? And yeah, it's getting better, but I think people think they're a bit better at it than what actually is the result.
Okay.
Because sport usually is the place where people can throw money at it to try it.
Yeah.
And if it works, it tends to stay in. If it doesn't work, it's...
Yeah.
And then some players are looking for these little 1% things as giving them edges, but they don't get some of those big rocks that we just discussed before.
The sleeps all over the shop, or they're drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Messing up their performance.
Like
nutrition all over the shop.
You know, obviously as a physio, you're trying to minimise soft tissue injuries as best you can. And I always wanted to write a paper on the correlation between breaking up with your girlfriend and tearing your hamstring. And I have seen on more occasions than I can count on one hand where...
Actually?
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's all those other factors that are often that you've got to kind of try to get a handle on that can cause an injury here.
That's crazy.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like most guys who get a sore shoulder, get impingement or whatever, it's not because they hurt it in the gym. It's because they sleep on the thing at night with their arm like this. That just jams up their subacromial space, and they come to the gym and they go, I can't do it. Doesn't feel good. So it's not the gym that does it. It's the life and lifestyle that does it often.
Yeah.
Riding with your hand on the top of the wheel. Yeah. Riding.
Yeah.
Doing these types of things. So as a physio over the years, I've learnt to look at those things more so. If I go back to the example, maybe a player and his girlfriend have a disagreement. He sleeps on the couch. She sleeps in the bed, so he sleeps on the couch, bad for his back, kind of loads his spinal stuff a little bit, kind of pre-tenses up his posterior chain. He goes to training, sprints, bang. Oh. And then I don't know that until afterwards. You come there and he's sitting there and we're icing his leg. And you kind of go like, oh, mate, done your hammy, all right, cool, this is going to be the plan, this is what we're going to do. And you're just talking to him and he'll go, oh, yeah, me and the missus had a bit of a fight last night and, oh, yeah, well, tell me about it. And he just talks and then like, oh, I slept on the couch last night. So we had one guy.
Wow, man, that's eye-opening. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
like
you
those
don't.
Little things outside. I mean,
people look at me like I'm crazy, but like that's kind of what I've found just through experience. We had one guy when I first went to second time went to the Reds. We had these two guys that had one guy had 7 hamstring strains and the other one had 5. So they just couldn't get going enough to get back on the field. So I got 2 problem children just thrown onto my plate. And one of them, he had a spondy spine, like spondylolisthesis, so he had a little bit of shearing essentially, and that was driving the whole kind of problem with him. So I kind of worked that out because you had to really get to the bottom of it. And by going back, I found out that every time he spent more time standing on the day before training, he tore his hammy the next day. I know that probably seems bizarre. Yeah. So one time he had like a fan day and it was signing autographs, so he was on his feet for 4 or 5 hours. Does that make sense? So heaps of extension load, slippage. Next day, whooshka. One day he just went to the shops and was walking around Westfield for a few hours. Came to training Monday, bang, hammy. So I kind of only worked that out by asking questions all the way back there. So then he realised that, okay, he's got a spondy. We've got to look after the spine in order to look after the hamstring. Yeah. That was part of the problem. Part of the problem was giving him training exposure because he'd missed multiple years of football. So he had no tissue tolerance anywhere. So we had to kind of build that and keep all that going as well. We did some Pilates and those types of things, like low-level core strength for here, and still some higher-level stuff as far as the Olympic lifting goes. And it worked. It got back on the field, started playing, and this guy could run 10.5 meters a second. He was quick, and he had agility. He just moved so beautifully. Got going, looking good. Everyone's like, look at this guy, he's looking good. And then he goes, oh, Jackal, I'm going to go to France. I've got a contract in France. I'm like, I put so much work into you, and now you're going to leave? Come on. But unfortunately, I think by that point, the club had been so frustrated with him that they were kind of looking to move him on.
So what was the secret? You controlling how much he was standing, doing that low-level stability work, looking after the spine.
Just created that awareness. Yeah, created that awareness for him to say, mate, this is your problem. Okay. If he slept on his stomach, and loaded his back, he's like, mate, my back doesn't feel too good. He's in rehab running. I didn't even put him in training.
Oh man.
And that was I had to get a lot of trust from the coach.
Good way to control it, yeah.
Yeah, coaches. The coach allowed me that because it's
problem child.
Before. So like if you keep doing the same thing, you're not going to get a different result. So we were allowed that, and he was all right with that. But unfortunately, it was a bit too far gone by that point because he'd already moved on. So we actually went overseas, France, played good, came back to the Reds, played good. Yeah. I think he might have actually got on the bench for the Wallabies as well. So, I feel good about that experience. You know what I mean? Like I had a part in that, like a good part.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've had mates on the football pitch that have had niggling hammies. I think some of them I might have even referred to you, where it's just problem after problem, and they just feel good. They're like, oh, no, it's good enough, and then they go for a sprint, run, whatever. Sometimes it's in the warm-up. They're like, oh, man. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you should be playing today because you can barely do our agility warm-up. Anyway.
Yeah, I must admit, through that process, and I worked in AFL, and you get a lot of hammies in AFL.
Yeah.
I read every article just about on hamstrings, and then that with experience and seeing lots of hamstrings, you kind of you learn. All right, is it a neural hammy or is it a true hamstring strain? So they've done studies to show that when you tear your hamstring, like your biceps femoris, which is the one you strain 80% of the time, shrinks. Like it atrophies. So unless you can preferentially load that and strengthen that back up, you'll go back on the field, and that thing is a shrunken little fella in your leg. Yeah. It can't deal with the eccentric load you're going to put it on. So you'll cope for a bit, but then chances are when you overextend or you lunge to catch a ball or something like that, you're susceptible. I've had a lot of fun with hamstrings. Torn out a lot of hair with hamstrings as well, but and it's just a bane of people's existence if you can't get going with your hammy. It's challenging.
One of my professors at uni, Tony Shields.
Tony Shields, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Wow.
Weapon.
I was like,
loves his hammies.
I was like early days Nordboard testing at the Lions.
That's right. I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
When we were doing ACL.
And he's like a beast.
Absolute weapon, man. He got me passionate about hammies.
Yeah. And I think he gave himself rhabdomyolysis in doing so many Nordic hamstring curls that his muscle started to break itself down. Yeah.
At one point, I remember he was trying to tear his own hammy because he wanted to document and the rehab protocol and have a look at.
And the fact that you can't tear your hamstring doing a Nordic, I think was what he was trying to prove. Because the thing is with the Nordic hamstring curl, it preferentially works your semitendinosus, and you hardly ever strain that one. Yeah. So it's kind of like, because the moment arm of your semitendinosus, your knee is the most. So when you're in knee flexion in that position, you'll load that. You don't load your biceps femoris much. So it's kind of, and when you run and sprint, you use your biceps femoris. So all sprinting, you don't use your hammy that much when you're jogging. When you start to really increase leg speed and you've got that eccentric kind of hammy load, that's when you ask more of your biceps femoris. And if it's not ready for it, you're in trouble.
You'll feel it,
yeah. So Nordics for me are part of a good hamstring rehabilitation and prevention, but it's not the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
And the Nordboards are good at measuring side-to-side differences, but again, it's a number, but it's got to go with a few other pieces of the puzzle as well.
What do you teach your community for doing the fundamentals well? We talked about sleep. We talked about recovery, things that we do outside of the gym. I know you're looking after one of my mates with his shoulder, Phil, and he's big. As you were just going through that, he's come in for some shoulder problems. I've sent him in, it just won't recover. But he's notorious. Like when he's at work and at computer, he's a construction engineer, manager, sort of dude, and he's always doing those. And when we've been in the gym, I've seen him like wind up his shoulder before a lift. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like before bench, he's like, oh shit, I didn't even notice I was doing it. And now it's like slowly starting to come back and bite him in the butt a bit. So what some tips, or what do you teach your community for, obviously, what the sleeping on your back versus crook lying, but are there any other good fundamentals that they can that they can draw from this to help them with that performance as opposed to looking for the 1%? changes or improvements?
Yeah, I mean, you only get to do the 1% when you're a really high level.
Yeah.
Most of us are at the high level, so you're kind of chasing, I think, like a bit of something that's...
It's a bit stupid, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, unless you're...
It's like fool's gold, I think. Yeah. You know, that's the whole Warren Buffett thing, right? Like, obviously it's just compounding. Just compound things in your favour. Do the small, boring stuff and just do it for longer. And actually, that's what I use a lot now is the hare and the tortoise fable. Is I'm like, yeah, in your 20s, you just want to be the hare, you want to get rich quick, you want to get the girls, you want to get this, and then tortoise beats you. You know what I mean? It's like, and then as you get older, and now I'm older, I'm like, oh, I just want to be the tortoise now. You know what I mean? So it's you just understand it's the small compounding of things. So just try to bring that to people's attention so that they get that tool and they take that with them, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to build a house, you need lots of tools, okay? So I want to give them the tools so they can go and build themselves. So I suppose like a basic thing, just if we went across every injury's got its own little nuances, but if we go across all of it, like I always say, my first thing is like, don't poke the bear, okay? So if you've got an injury and something's sore, don't aggravate it. Don't keep poking the bear will just stay angry, and that will just promote inflammation and that reinforcing loop, which is exactly what you need to get out of. Pain, soreness, stiffness, don't move it. Makes it stiffer, more inflammations, like you just get caught there.
What's an example of poking the bear that you see a lot? Say with a lower back.
Sitting down for too long.
Yeah.
Long car rides, not getting out of the car and breaking it up, not putting bolsters or something in behind their back. People go, oh, I've got back support in my chair. I'm like, cool, do you use it? Yep. Is your back still sore after your car ride? Yep. How's that going for you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to kind of... People bizarrely fall for their own, like, little lies they tell themselves. So I just kind of try to create a bit of awareness there. You know, so I say, get a towel, roll up into a bolster, tape it up so it's just there. Passenger seat, get out. When you sit back in the car, grab, in behind, away you go. So that's so much. That's most of it right there. Is don't poke the bear. Okay, so I know I've had some shoulder issues myself. If I accidentally sleep on it, then that day, you know, I'm like, okay, well, I just know I can't do much with that shoulder in the gym that day, so I just make sure I do something else. Then I'll free up my shoulder, feels good again. Next day, I can go back to doing what I'm doing. So I'm just listening to what my body tells me.
That's next level awareness. I think a lot of members of our community won't think that deep into it, and I think hearing you just chat about it is pretty powerful. Where, you know, like if you're slouched or crouched. I know when you were helping me with my ACL, you gave me that example of, you know, what happens when you're side lying and your shoulders jacked up like this and forward, and you wake up 8 hours later. It's not gonna.
Your body tells you.
100%,
Your body tells you. Like I'm just trying to teach people to listen to their body better. I think would probably be another way of putting it.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you go to the gym, like you're exercising, it's like you're getting a bit of pain, puffing, you're panting. Like that's a different type of pain. That's your body going, okay, this is a stress that I need to accommodate to get better. Okay? If you're going to sleep on your shoulder like that and then your shoulder hurts, it's not a pain that your body's going like, cool, I want to get more better at that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like keeping them apart. And if I can get people to not poke their bear by listening to those little cues better, they'll navigate their life better. And then that helps everything.
Yeah.
Then essentially after that, you loosen the tight bits and strengthen the weak bits, and you're pretty much there. That's kind of like any principles for life management and rehab, I think. And then, like the big thing for me is sleep's huge. Anything your body prioritizes that you need to do 8 hours a day, it's pretty important.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about like the hierarchy of life, you need air like all the time. You breathe all the time, you need it. Okay, so you can't go too long without that. All right, water, you probably need that pretty much every day, maybe a couple of days, but you wouldn't want to be pushing it beyond that. Food, probably could go without that for a good couple of weeks if you had to, you know what I mean? You know, try and go 3 days without sleep and see how you go. Like, look how, that's where sleep is on kind of like that pecking order. So you can see, well, all right, I probably want to set myself up to sleep as good as I can. You read the Matthew Walker book?
I'm halfway through it at the moment.
Yeah.
I've done all of his podcasts, most of his podcasts, everything. Yeah.
And he's so
nuts, man.
Eloquent in how he speaks about it.
Sorry to cut you off. In the current chapter, he's talking about how if you get I think he said 6 or 7 nights of 7 hours. The compounding effect of that is after that 6 or 7 days, it's like going one night without any sleep. That's how much it'll decrease your performance and affect your health.
You sleep less, you live less.
Yeah.
You know? And so just one thing. So in January I decided that I was going to do no alcohol for 6 months.
6 months?
6 months.
Before COVID.
Yeah. Like by accident. And so I'm just doing COVID.
You were ready, bro.
I'm feeling like awesome. Everyone's like, oh man, are you drinking lots? I'm like, no, actually. And I actually started taking like reishi, like mushroom supplements as well. Like, I got some daytime stuff like lion's mane and cordyceps are awesome.
Is that the stuff from Byron Bay? No.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we stocked the life cycle stuff at Recovery Science. So I wanted to try it first before I was going to recommend it to anyone. Like since I've been taking reishi and probably not drinking, I'm not sure which part of that puzzle is more. But I hadn't dreamt for 15 years. Like I didn't really remember dreams, didn't really dream for 15 years. In this last kind of 6 month period, dream all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah. And, like again, how much is the alcohol, how much was the reishi, but like I wake up and I go like, oh, that was a good sleep. Feel more recovered.
Fresh.
Yeah. Much more so than previous. Admittedly, I've added alcohol back in a little bit, but I would still be dreaming way more than I'd done previously. Wow. Yeah, I think it's really good. It's natural, obviously, and I definitely set up my sleep. I've got a little mini sleep routine. You know what I mean? You don't give yourself the blue light exposure.
Yeah.
I always turn my.
Are you going glasses or no? Do you believe in those glasses, blue light glasses?
True lights?
No, the ones you wear at night to protect yourself from blue light.
Look, you can. I think that Dave Asprey,
he's big on
he does those. How about just don't do it? Like it's probably more the fact that you fire up your analytical brain when you've got the device in your hand. Yeah. Like that's worse. So now your brain's doing these ones, and you're trying to wind down here. I think just.
What are you doing after 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock? Getting rid of the screens, or what do you?
Screen would be done. Yeah, so obviously I've got a fair kid routine in there because I do the book reading because my wife's looking after the little one at the moment. So I let the kids watch a little bit of TV just kind of prior to dinner. Then we do dinner, and then it's up. It's like teeth, read a book, bed, and then if I'm going to go to bed, if I wanted to just numb myself down, try to read, or maybe listen to something that I want to listen to, but I don't want it to be thinking about work or anything like that. It's going to fire up my brain. Otherwise, I'm doing these ones. So I kind of set it up pretty good, I think. And
nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good routine.
I use the cold. I use the cold, like because we got the ice bars too. I found that's been really effective. Cold shower in the morning, hot shower before bed is kind of good because you want to drop your core temperature essentially to help you sleep as well. Yeah. No hot drinks, not too much food close to bed. Those types of things are quite important too, metabolically. What about you? What do you?
With my sleep, I'm just trying to make the 8 hours non-negotiable. So if I have a late night, 2 nights a week, I'll finish at the gym late and I'll have an early start. So I try and have dinner earlier before I leave work, so that when I get home, I can just do my quick routine with my.
Have you read the bit that they reckon if you need an alarm, you're sleep deprived?
Fuck, I don't think I'm that far. But what time do you wake up?
3:34.
3:30 a.m. No alarm.
Most of the time.
Get out.
If I've got stuff to do,
I'm scared to go no alarm because I'm also 4:30, and I think.
Yeah, no. I've been trained by my wife. Essentially, we both like to exercise. Yeah. We both like to do it in the morning. I want to prioritise something I want to do in the morning. Yeah. That's the best way to go. So we both need to exercise before we leave. We leave the house at 6:30 in the morning, so because I don't like sitting in traffic. So I'm because I live at Norman Park to come into the valley here. Yeah. So we're leaving at 6:30. So you just work backwards. Okay, so you need some breakfast time, get the kids ready, okay, and then her exercise time, my exercise time.
Yeah.
So mostly my wife would go first, she'd go exercise, come back, and she would get ready, and then I would go to the gym, and then as she would finish getting ready, I'd come home, kids would now be up, get them ready, showers, boom, 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 out the door.
Nice.
If I've got things to do and like I need to tackle this job before I want to go to work, like I'll wake up. I haven't set an alarm for ages.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
The power of sleep.
If I feel like I need a bit of a rebound sleep, I definitely, and I'll just probably sleep in a little bit more. Like weekends, I probably wake up. Probably still cool to 5, something like that. Because I reckon, like, go to bed time and wake up time, you want to keep that relatively consistent.
Yeah.
Probably within like 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. What time are you in bed at night?
If my kids aren't playing up at 7, quarter to 8.
Damn.
quarter to
Okay.
8.
Nice and early. Yeah.
If you call me at 8 o'clock, you won't get through.
Yeah.
Like it's on airplane mode, and I'm kind of looking to. I'm on the pillow.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a well-oiled machine at that place.
Nice.
But,
I think that's what I need to work on, is getting to bed a little bit earlier. Like I'm probably going 9:30, sometimes 10.
Oh,
But
mate, when I was a
getting
young
more
bloke,
consistent. Yeah.
Like, stay up to 10:30, 11. You know what I mean? Get out of bed on the weekends at 9:30. You know, like I have been there. Just over time, I've kind of shifted it. Because there's no way I'm exercising at the end of the day. I just go, hey babe, I'm just going to go to the gym while you look after the kids and do all the dinner and crazy time. No way, I'll be divorced in like 2 seconds. So, so that's why we do it in the morning. We
makes
front-ended
sense.
there.
At Recovery Science, what else are you rocking in there? Are you hitting sauna much? You've got sauna,
ice
bath,
a hot cold bath,
hot
so
cold bath,
contrast bathing.
Yep.
I'll just probably do more just cold. We have got the pool down to 1 degree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for like almost like a Wim Hof type.
Yeah.
Like real super cold exposure. I needed to do a contrast with that. That was tough.
Yeah.
A minute in that is really challenging. Just trying to focus on your breathing. That's probably the new thing we've added in a little bit, is like teaching people like sympathetic and parasympathetic breathing techniques for physiological management.
Nice.
Like they're like the best tools you've got are right there. Like you breathe all the time and you probably don't know how you breathe. Could be winding you up, or you know, especially if you're psychologically wound up, you're gonna get more tense here. You know what I mean? And this probably gets a bit shorter. You know?
Sharper breathing.
Yeah. And I think if you can get a bit better at doing that, like man, you're like near superhuman. Like, you can control yourself way more.
That's the next book I've added to my list after I finish the Matthew Walker one. That Nestler dude, that
Nesta, James Nesta.
Breathe.
Yep, he's good. And there's The Oxygen
read that
Advantage by Patrick McKeown.
Okay.
Yeah, he's also good. Like the big Takeo breathing method.
Yeah.
You know, kind of learning to tolerate high CO2 levels, because that's usually what controls your breathing rate.
Yeah.
They're both very good. Yeah. I mean, the Wim Hof stuff's kind of fun, exciting, interesting, but it's, you know, like you can hyperventilate and pass out too, you know, if you go a bit too hard. That's all the free divers do, don't they? They control their breathing and slow everything down to be able to go underwater for long periods of time. And that's where James Nesta, I think, did most of his research, and then out of it he wanted to learn more about it and went into the physiology more, and that's how he ended up doing what he was doing. He's good. I like him.
Me too, man. Some of his podcasts I've enjoyed. Some no. He talks about the monk that could control the temperature of one hand versus the other hand. Like he could, through his breathing techniques, he could get one hand hot. Like,
he would melt the ice. He'd sit in the ice and he'd melt the ice around him just with
breathing.
Because as you can relax yourself down, you can put more body heat. Or I'm not particularly sure of that example, but when I say that's beast mode.
Yeah. Dudes that have just dedicated like 30 years of their life to just breathing. and that's where he gets a lot of his learning from, and like the studies that he looks into, like stuff like that.
I think
pretty badass.
For everyone, they're good things to learn. We learn it for our clients or whatever, but it's best for yourself.
Yeah.
Also, I think like reading Stoic philosophy, I think is really good. Almost like the Taoist, Tao Te Ching type, real ancient ideas. Been in the more recent years listening to like, you know, Indian mystic yogis as well, you know what I mean? And like you kind of get their teachings and you boil it all down like, oh my God, they're all saying the same things, and that's 3,000 years old. If it's 3,000 years old, that's good enough for me. So I think probably about since 2016 I've kind of gone down those rabbit holes a little bit. I think they're really good books and principles to kind of get for your own life as well. Like as a 44-year-old gentleman with my body not feeling like I'm 25 anymore, mentally I feel the best I've felt. Like, and I'll probably put it down more to probably working more on your own psychology, I suppose. In my 20s, probably worked more on my body only, to be honest, and then kind of flipped it more. And now I feel like just really good. And it's nice to feel good.
Yeah. The importance of working on the mental game as well, as opposed to just gym.
Yeah,
Bro,
you can't take that off from this anyway, so you might as well get them to talk to each other pretty well, I would imagine. And I think that was probably part of the thing I learnt with boxing is, like even though you're in there and you're sparring another person, most of it's just like there's a saying, I think it's from it's ancient Chinese, like no enemy outside of you can defeat you if you defeat the enemy inside you type thing, you know what I mean? And it's on the money.
So true.
You're just battling yourself. You've got to get out of your own way most of the time. And that's kind of that mental space. But I found probably reading older things more helpful than, you know, there's good stuff around habits and things like that, but you know, you can get real tensed up in that too, you know what I mean? Whereas these guys kind of pare away a lot of the complexity things to its kind of true essence, and if you can kind of grab those and keep them close to you, that's kind of like the superhuman type stuff.
Makes a difference. Have you read James Clear's Atomic Habits?
Yep. A good book. Great book. I think I'm going to try to make that a yearly thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Just going back to boxing, before I forget, when are you fighting next? I'm going to be there watching, with the Jackal T-shirt. Have you locked it in, or what's?
No. So since he's moved his gym out there, I feel I don't want to go somewhere else.
You're like, I'm the beef in Tenerife, man. I got to stay here. Stay with the people.
I'm probably lacking a physical goal.
Okay.
And I have for the last couple of years, especially setting up recovery science, and you're doing that renovation, and then added a few more kids to the mix as well through there.
Awesome.
I've dropped off my physical something to orientate myself at, so that's probably the next thing. And I think with COVID taking away that one, I think I just dropped the ball. I'll get it back. Trying to do a little bit of gym just to keep a bit of muscle on my frame, because I really notice now that it just falls off. Like I'm kind of lucky, I get skinny, but then when I work, it's just harder on my body. I need to kind of keep a bit of strength to do physio better. You
look like you've put on a bit more muscle since the last time I saw you. Although, admittedly, last time I saw you was probably when you were in the process of setting everything up.
Oh, yeah.
So it would have been a bit more full on for you, for sure.
A bit crazy, but...
Recovery science. How does our community get involved? What's the setup? Do they rock up and go, I want a sauna, I want to...
all the stuff you can kind of book online, those types of things. You know, essentially we have 4 modalities as the main thing. The sauna, hot cold baths, got the Normatec boots. Also got the arms, got hips as well.
You hit me with those last time I was in there.
Yeah.
They felt pretty nice.
They're really good. Like, all the professional teams have them. Most players buy them for themselves. So it's kind of good enough for them. You probably think it's going to be good enough for you. Like, if you just need something to make your legs feel lighter and you just flush your legs, they're the best. They're the best on the market. There's a few others out there, but Normatec, I think, has got the gong at the moment. Out of the US, they tend to have pretty cool toys. And then we've got the Theraguns, the massage guns as well, so give yourself a really good release kind of through there as well. So you can we just run it such that if you want to do all 4 in an hour or so, you're kind of doing 15 minutes in each one-ish. Some people just do the boots for an hour.
Yeah.
Some people just go, no, I just want to do ice bar, so we can kind of tailor it to what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's been well received. We get lots of teams because teams want to recover together. So we've had a few gyms have kind of come in and brought their team in. The CEO group that we had through, they brought their wives through, so we did a wives group as well.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to get bigger because people want to feel good. You know, you want to, like, it's kind of the health and wellness thing is the wave is going to be massive.
The recovery thing is certainly picking up in the community. I'm detecting that. Like early days, it used to just be like train, and train hard, gym, running, whatever. But now it's triathlons. But now it's like train, but also.
Will you recover for like many times, like factors for the recovery? Sorry, I'm going to say that again. You're going to be recovering longer than you train.
Yeah.
The stimulus you give in the gym is going to be like, geez, even a 2-hour gym session's pretty bloody long. You know what I mean? But you're going to probably be recovering for the next probably 36 to 48 hours. Some people get sore at 48 hours, which is just kind of that kind of triggering that stimulus response. So, chances are by then you're training again.
Yeah.
So hopefully you want to got your recovery in somewhere before then, because you're going to hit it again, and then you need to recover again before you hit it again. So it becomes quite a necessary thing. Hence why we set it up. It's it shouldn't just be for professional athletes and CEOs or whatever. Hence why the price point we think is pretty reasonable. Like if you our subscriptions are like $35. You know what I mean? They get you an hour a week. If you want unlimited, it's like $49.
Yeah.
We don't do lock-in contracts. Yeah. So some people might have a triathlon coming up, and they'll sign up for 2 months or something, and they'll use it a lot in there as they've got quite high training volumes.
Yeah.
Lots of our teams use it as a recovery post-game, and then they'll come in and do a little pre-game one to feel good before the match.
Yeah.
We look after a few teams, Wilson Grange Gorillas.
Yeah.
So they frequently come in, and man, the women are picking up with it. They like it. They want it, which is good. Yeah, and they can do it together, which is perfect. Yeah, it's good. It's just nice and pleasing to see. Like people like looking after themselves. I love seeing that. I love seeing people in gyms and sweating, and then they're coughing afterwards and everything. It's like, that's the way it should be, I think.
Yeah.
Back in my day, the guy would be grunting at you. You kind of wanted to do your work and get away from the gym. You know what I mean? It's good.
Even when I came up early days, it was a little bit intimidating. Like you had the big dogs in the gym, and then I was this young kid coming in.
I can't get
after
that
high school
equipment, because it's his. Like, I'll just be over here in the corner.
Yeah.
It doesn't fly anymore.
No. There's a bit of a bodybuilding. There was a couple of powerlifters there, but it was like a bodybuilding sort of oriented place where I was going. I want to finish up the podcast by picking your brain a bit about 2021 and I guess your goals with your health and training for 2021. What you want to improve as the superhero of the patients and the clients and Superman practitioner.
No tattoos.
And also where you see physio and EP going. Like there's a bit of a predictions thing, so that when we reflect on this conversation in a year or two, we go, oh, yeah, the jackal guessed it.
Look, can I go there first?
Yep.
I was in private practice for 5 or so years. Then I went into professional sport for like 11. It kind of was largely outside of everything that happened here because I was just travelling around with football teams. Then came back, set up a clinic, and that was kind of 5-6 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why are you guys tearing at each other? Like, it's kind of funny, like, even in a football department, we're all trying to do a good job. Like Ferrari's got a saying, make the car go faster. Everything we do is got to make the car go faster. Okay, so in a sports team, you want to do everything to make the team better, right? And at the end of the day, isn't that the same here? You have a business, I have a business. We're still trying to make people better. Like I just don't like it when people tear at people. Like it's just not the right thing to do. And, I've got a skill set, and I probably got a bit more skill set in the exercise part because I was hanging out with strength and conditioning coaches for a long period of time. So I just osmosis a bit of their knowledge. For physios that maybe haven't been exposed to that, they don't have that, so they kind of feel like their protective ground is here. And it's like, if I give you a client to strengthen, improve tissue tolerance, do all those types of things, like I've lost them. But if I don't do that, like that should be on me. Like I'm doing my client in service by denying that to them, or get the skills yourself and going back and do some study and get those skills and be able to provide those services. So I don't, and that's why I think I work well with people in the community, because I like, and if someone comes in and they've got a sore shoulder, I say, you're going to the gym tomorrow. You're just not going to do X, Y, and Z for the shoulder, but you're going to do something for here. Like, there's no take something out and not put something back in.
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of people, and it's the cotton wool or the omelette, right? Wrap them in cotton wool, or like, you break an egg to make an omelette. Like, both are bad.
Yeah.
You want to kind of try to get yourself in the middle. So, and look, I see a bit of physio stuff from other physios where it maybe isn't going so great, and I tend to boil it down to some of the essences, and I just go, I think you need to do this, and you need more of this and less of that, and then usually get the job done. So
from my experience in our community, man, you're doing a great job. You and your team are doing an outstanding job of looking after our physio referrals that we send to you guys. I think the experience and the way that you guys approach it is way more comprehensive than other physios that I've worked with in the past. That's been a bit of a cotton wool approach where it's like, we just got to just do this for this. You guys are a bit more, I don't want to say realistic, but you guys are heaps more thorough with giving. The patients come back and the clients come back and they're like, it was a great experience. It was unlike any other physio I've seen in the past. I'm doing this, and he explained this really well, and I feel like I know where I'm going and what I need to do to come back to good performance.
Well, if you cotton wool someone, what are you doing? You're just deconditioning the whole human now. Like, that's not a good idea. Like, really, like, if someone is now, let's go and not do anything for a month, when they come back to you, you've got to go back a fair few steps to go, right, we're going to start here now and work back forward. So, and in sport, that's very apparent, because, like, okay, give a good example, like, one guy tore his quad, he had 1 week of not running that much, and then into a bit of rehab, and then back to training, went back to training, and got a stressor in his foot. You know what I mean? So that's just an acute download, and then got another injury out of it. I'm like, well, shit, what am I going to do next time? Well, maybe he's got to keep doing some loading stuff. So I keep loading his calf, load through his bones, protect his quad, so that when he comes back, most of him's still in good shape. So that's why I've moved more that way. But physios who haven't been exposed to safe ways of do that, they just cotton wool everything. Yeah. And I think it's not the right way to go.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it affects their physical health, their mental health, because they feel like, I can't go to the gym. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't walk. I shouldn't.
It's just fear avoidance. And the best chemical factory that there is in the world is in your brain, and you get an endorphin every time you do exercise. That's why your body says, please do that again. I like that. Yeah. So that's what we need, and we need people to get. So
I think another thing that you're really good at is giving them homework that's not just rehabby. Like, and I know when I went through my ACL recovery with you were giving me things outside of the box as well, like not just the floor-based drills, but you're like, okay, and in this many weeks we should be ready for skipping, and then in this many weeks straight line running, and then, oh shit, why are you running already? Don't do that just yet. Cut that back, but do all this other stuff. So,
one stage should prepare you for the next stage, prepare you for the next stage. Like, so you got to progress. Yeah. That's probably, unfortunately, don't get taught it in physio at all. You get taught these ones.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a fair bit beyond that we need to kind of push people to. So that's probably where maybe some people fall down a little bit. Yeah. But that's why I like the principles of, like, work out how not to annoy your injury. Okay, keep everything else going. Loosen the tight bits and then strengthen the weak bits, and then that's why so we're going to have a knee rehab center actually next year, so that'll be my 2021 thing to come. like, if you think, all right, well, you've hurt your knee, okay, so we need to strengthen quads, hammies, calf, glute, but then you're like, well, hang on, what about the other leg? So we've got to do stuff for the other leg. What about your core? Okay, so we've got to bring all those things in together. So any injury very quickly becomes the whole body anyway. So, I mean, that's probably my philosophy that I've learnt over years, and kind of that's what I push out. So,
Yeah. Tell me about the knee recovery centre, man.
knee rehab centre.
I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah, so
knee rehab centre. Same spot in the valley?
Yeah, so it'll just be where we are, because
Yep.
we've got a little rehab gym there.
Yep.
And obviously with the recovery now as well on site, I've spent a lot of time formalising that ACL process, you know what I mean? So we've built a manual with exercises, running progressions, agility progressions, everything in it. And we now have our own app that we can have for it. So essentially, if people want to go and do their own stuff by themselves, cool. You can get the app and there's your exercises.
Yep.
There's the progressions that are safe. If you want to come and do it with us, obviously you can come and do it with us. Just because, like stuff doesn't come back just because you had a surgery a year ago. You have to push your strength to get it back. Like my wife is a classic example. Didn't do the exercises, twisted a knee, tore a meniscus on 2 other occasions afterwards because she had no quad bulk and hamstring bulk to protect her knee. It's not a good result. She's going to get arthritis in that knee for sure now. Like 100%. She's probably got some already. So that's not a good result, and that starts to affect life, right? And it's more debilitating. So I don't want to see that for anyone.
Yeah, so I hear the horror stories a lot as well. Footballers that have torn the ACL like 3 times. I had a coach that did one knee 4 times and the other knee 6 times. God.
Yeah, so
What on earth? Yeah.
look, there's a lot of factors that can go in there, but you know, so we want to do testing too. So we'll have the ability to kind of test people to go, mate, like we think you're at this percentage, and here's why.
Yeah.
You can do some lateral hop tests and three hops. We'll get 4 sticks and things like that. So we'll have, and if you're like 85%, like you're not ready. Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. Yeah, I feel good. I'm like, well, you're 85%. You've still got a 15% risk hidden in your system. So if you want to take that, cool, go back. But probably not. You've probably got more work to do. So we kind of set that out as a manual, so people can get the manual, they can get the app, and come for us for stuff. So yeah,
good way to educate the athletes, because if they see that 15%, they're like, oh, okay, all right, it's there. I'm not.
And what's even
it's
worse
not just
is
feels.
you hurt yourself when you're 100%.
Yeah.
So maybe your 100% is not even good enough at the end of the day, because
That's a good point.
Yeah, like your bar was here, but your bar probably has to be higher again. So that's we're going to address some of those things on the way through as well. Yeah, it's good, fun. It's fun to do new stuff.
Yeah.
Keeps me up. Gets me up early.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, you've got nothing to worry about. When we get those whoops, you'll be able to see those.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm going to bed now.
I'm recharged. Hey, thank you very much for coming on, man. Appreciate your time.
Cool. Thank you very much.
We should do this again sometime.
Love to.
Cheers, Nathan.
Thank you.